How did podcasting come about in your life and why?
For me, it was a calling to escape my oilfield experience. At the first pivotal moment of my life, going through the first experience of depression, deep depression, stage 4 depression. In the midst of that, God went, I'm standing on the top of this 3rd-story apartment on the balcony. I'm smoking cigarettes, outing. I think I was crying. I feel like he just came to me and went like, you need to talk. You need to have a conversation. If you were to just start, next thing you know, like it becomes almost like this fluid second nature experience.
There is a common thread between the people that we talk about, people that we talk to, the entrepreneurs that we talk to, the founders, the leaders, the communities, whoever we're talking to, there's a common thread between all of them, right?
Okay.
Is they started. Right? They started and they have an undeniable belief in themselves. Welcome back to the Days In podcast. That's not the Days In podcast.
Holy, this is the end of a day. I'll tell you what.
This is the end of a day.
Well, technically the beginning of a day. But
anyway, welcome back to the Unscriptd podcast. We are different today. We don't have our usual studio background because we got locked out of our studio. So we improvised. So welcome. You guys get to come along with us today.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we got locked out of our studio. We had it booked for this morning. We try to figure out how to get in, to do podcasts, whatever time we have available. This is what the Lord provided us for today.
And here we are.
Already had a run-in with the guard. We're not technically supposed to be doing this, but you know what? He's favoring us today, so we're going to jump in. But you know what? As I was driving over here, I was thinking about, because we don't really script anything. And I was thinking about, okay, like what are some unique topics outside of the general things that we talk about? And something that AI gave me was, why don't you talk about the behind the scenes and humanity versus like humor aspect? And here we are, we got tossed lemons. And so we made lemonade.
Hey, I like lemonade, man.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. I
think that's great, honestly. I think that sometimes we can be heavily focused, obviously, because it's a podcast. So like we have topics and we have things that we're talking about, where we talk about business, we talk about different things with guests, we talk about life, we talk about a bunch of different things around kind of the same kind of topic and theme. But I think it's also good to kind of give behind the scenes a little bit about like how these conversations come about, or sometimes how we get to the point of where we are, right? Because I think we talked to our guest about where they came from and how they got to where they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we ever like really talked about how we came to where we are today.
In terms of the podcast, or in terms of
the podcast, in terms of life, in terms of everything, right?
Yeah.
Because like if we look at all of our guests as a whole over the last year, our whole thing that we have been trying to, the story that we've been trying to tell is, hey, I love your point in time, right? You've gained some major success and we love that. What happened before that got you to where you are today?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's okay. Well, here's Unscriptd podcast. Here before was the Days In podcast,
mm-hmm.
right? How did we get to where we are today and have that same type of conversation that we do with our guests for ourselves?
Yeah. And I think it's important because like on top of that, to kind of layer on top of that, the fact that one of our last podcasts was pushing through those times where like, I think I just released a reel about it, which was like, I don't want to do any more editing, but like, what if this one was the one, you know what I mean? And it actually like broke us through that like peak or that summit that we've been talking about here for the last several episodes. And here we are, like, we could have definitely went home. I would have loved to have gotten more sleep this morning before even waking up.
Oh, for sure.
I probably would have loved to have gone back and gotten some sleep too, but we're pushing through. We're set up on literally a chess table, which is going to be the second episode that we do is going to be us trying to figure out how to play chess because I don't know.
I don't know how.
No, but you're right, man. It's giving that breakdown into like how we've gotten to where we are is important.
Yeah. I think it is, and so yeah. So let's start there. Right? How did podcasting come about in your life and why?
If you're a real one, since day one, you know kind of how the story came about. For me, it was a calling to escape my oilfield experience, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a calling to escape. I'll go even deeper. I've been thinking about this a lot because sometimes I'm kind of limited to talk about like things that I've past experienced, because somehow the world right now in 2025 is good about taking your past and making it who you are today. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of get a little timid about that. But I was, when I thought of the Days In podcast, and that was a calling in my heart from, I believe, God, to do something and to speak out and to share a story that I feel like a lot of times no one wants to hear mine, like we've talked about. I was at the first pivotal moment of my life going through the first experience of depression. Deep, I mean, deep depression. And I'm sure that I probably had experienced depression before, but I am such a like forward thinking, like optimistic, I'm going to overcome this challenge type of person that I wouldn't give it the name depression, right? So I had probably dealt with this before, and I just never gave it the name. And so by the time I finally gave it the name, I was already at like that stage, like stage 4, if you think about cancer, like stage 4 of depression. I was traveling away from my newly wife, you know, for 2.5 years, I think, of our first, you know, the beginning of our marriage. I was in a very unhealthy place. I was eating a lot of Texas burger. If you're from West Texas, shout out. You know, it's a really great establishment. I was eating a lot of Texas burger. My sleep pattern was destroyed. I'm dealing with that today. Like, some of the protocols that I had to go on is to recover like my sleep pattern. And so in the midst of that, God went, I'm like I'm standing on the top of this 3rd story apartment on the balcony. I'm smoking cigarettes. I've been smoking cigarettes since the start of like my Oilfield career, because that's a social thing to do. I'm smoking cigarettes for my health, right? And I'm like looking at this thing, looking at where I'm at, dusty, with like, I'm coming here to make all this money, but it's not doing anything for me because I had to spend it to come down here and the whole experience. And I'm like, what am I doing? I know that I have a better purpose in this, right?
Absolutely.
I know that I'm called to do something more. And so I was just shouting out. I think I was crying. Crying out there on that balcony by myself, 3rd story. I feel like he just came to me and went like, you need to talk. And then I thought to myself, well, there goes our extra lights. So, actually, one second.
I feel like that was done on purpose. Nope.
Not for lights.
I mean, you can still see us. We're still here.
Anyways, so I felt like he's like something was telling me like, you need to speak. You need to speak out, right? You need to have a conversation. And I didn't really know what that looked like. I think this was 2015. Podcasts were still a thing at the time, but like it was I think it was still pretty early for the most part. It wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So I came home and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? I have nothing to start a podcast. I have no idea how to start a podcast. I have no one to podcast with. I had a good buddy of mine, Sean. Shout out to him. We had kind of talked about it into development, but it took about 4 years for me after the fact, 4 or 5 years after the fact, to finally start it.
Wow. Yeah. And I think I think it's really cool to be able to like start something, pray about something, and see it come to where it is today, you know, which is a really cool thing to see, right? And to be completely honest, right? I mean, you are 2.5 years into this, maybe 3.
About 3.
About 3 years into this, right? And then I came on about a year ago, 1.5 years ago, right?
One semi-professional. The other two very immature. So, immature and amateur, I think.
Yeah. And so I think on one hand, it was like, okay, let's bring this thing up to something, right? Like at the end of the day, for me, it was like, okay, this is cool. I love the track record it's already set up, right? Because I had tried a podcast before, failed miserably at it.
Okay, I want to hear this.
I failed miserably at that. So I had a podcast that I was going to start called not the Days In, All In Podcast. Hey guys, we've noticed that some of you have been watching so much of our content, and we really appreciate it. But we also see that some of you have not subscribed yet, and we just want to let you know that it's free to subscribe. It's free to watch the content that we have. You can watch it at YouTube. You can watch it on Spotify. You can watch it on TikTok. But the place to be is YouTube. Go subscribe, click the bell, let us know you're there, and get ready for the next one.
That's cool.
Right? So it's called All In, and it was just about like having really cool conversations with business owners and different types of people to be able, and then just going like what did it take for them to go all in on the idea that they had, or what was that piece, right? Which is really cool because in hindsight, in a way, that it's kind of what we do right now.
Sure.
In a way, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And so that felt miserable, but I didn't know how to do it. And so I stopped that completely. And then we had met, and I was
What was the
like,
time difference like?
oh, 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah. So I was living in Plano at the time. It was before I had moved out here to Princeton. And so it was in Plano, and that's when I started it. And so actually, I think it might have been longer. Yeah, about 3 years, 4 years. I think it was like pandemic area,
Okay.
right? And so from that point, I was like, okay, I really want to be able to do something, right? Because I think I have something to talk about, right? I think I have experience. I've been in the game for a little bit now, right? And I think I can, I can help navigate these conversations and extract what I want out of people. But not really what I want, but extract what an audience would be able to find value from, I should say, right?
Okay.
Is in a better way. And so now that we're doing that, that was kind of like I had been searching to be able to get back into podcasting in some way, shape, or form, right? But I didn't know. I didn't want to do this whole thing myself. I was like, I really want somebody to do it with. And then that's when we met. And then I really hadn't done anything for like 6 months. And then it was like, okay, like I see some really cool traction here. Like, let's start something.
You just ignited something in my mind. That's such an interesting story. I did not know about you having podcasts or tried to have podcasts, 3 years before we met to do the podcast. It speaks so much volume though, considering the fact that you're not good with any of the technology. So it makes sense. I got that.
So for instance, like I do not know much about audio and video. That's all you. That's all you. You know audio and video.
We have to dig at each other.
Listen. Hey, you bring the audio video. I'll bring the talent. And so,
yeah, right. That's funny. No, but that's really interesting to hear about your backstory when it comes to that too. But isn't it interesting that like there's more than one demographic of podcaster, but there's like a line down the middle. You either podcast because you have something to sell, you have something to talk about personally yourself, and so you could start like the podcast singularly. You see a lot of talking heads and that sort of thing, especially when it comes to like tech and announcing new stuff and doing reviews and that sort of thing. But then you and I are both in the same position where I'm being called to podcast. You felt like you were being called to podcast as well, and so you tried to do that both singularly, but also similarly, and together wanted the fellowship.
Yeah.
In order for it to really produce something.
Absolutely, man. Like I think and what's funny is now that I've done it and I've gotten like really comfortable on the camera itself, or in this era, not this era, what am I trying to say? Like gotten comfortable in this format.
Yeah.
In this format. I'm like I could do other types of video format now. Like I'm more comfortable in other types of video format, right?
Like
like TikTok or
your consulting things. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I'm way more comfortable like moving in and out of this landscape, which is really cool. And so it's almost like built this not only like skill to be able to speak in front of a camera and articulate my thoughts well on the fly, but also be able to like build a different types of confidence, right? And I think that's a lot of podcasters have like a confidence issue, and sometimes you can see it through the camera, or they don't know how to articulate thoughts well, which I think is a different skill set, to be honest. I think that just comes with like sharing your thoughts consistently, and then you start to understand how to articulate those thoughts more. And so for me, that's what it's kind of done. And so now it's like, not only is it scratching this itch of like, oh, I really have something to say and I want to say something, but it's also, I get to build a real skill from it too.
Is shaping you and it's polishing you in the way and form of founder and entrepreneurship, because like you need to be skilled at this kind of stuff in some way, right? And so like, this is so unique. I'm really enjoying this conversation because it's like sparking thoughts in my mind, which is like, I wonder, because this has overcome for me. If you knew me as a kid, I was so shy. This has overcome for me stage fright. I think because I projected myself here on the podcast as anytime we're talking into a camera, this is weird. Like me looking at you right now, that's still in the back of my mind. I'm like, it's a camera. I can't see myself. I need to be able to see myself. I have a habit of doing that. And so I need to be able to see myself. I really like the way I look on camera half the time, etc. Don't like my voice, whatever. Right. But I needed to go, okay, that camera is not a camera. That's an audience. And so mentally projecting that out, that's an audience, has gotten me to a point where in my 9 to 5, when I go to speak in front of 40, 50 people, it's clockwork now. I'm standing up there. I know what I'm talking about because I know how to do research. I know how to be passionate about the things I'm talking about, which that's the one thing, right? If you don't believe what you're talking about, you can't sell it. And so I can sell this. I can sell interaction. I can sell communication. And I'm able to do that now to a degree in my tenure, in my day-to-day job, like I've never been able to do before. My curiosity is, like, I'm terrified of heights. I wonder in theory if that works the same way, where if you spent a whole bunch of time on VR, height simulators and that sort
Yeah.
of thing, if that would kind of help you overcome some of those fears, or at least start it. But it also goes back to the second part of that, which is, or maybe even the third if you wanted to, which is, you always talk about it, is just start. It seems super scary talking about like tech and that sort of thing. Like for me, that seems like rocket science. But if you were to just start, next thing you know, like, it becomes almost like this fluid second nature experience.
There is a common thread between the people that we talk about, people that we talk to, the entrepreneurs that we talk to, the founders, the leaders, the communities, whoever we're talking to. There's a common thread between all of them, right?
Okay.
Is they started, right? They started and they have an undeniable belief in themselves.
Yep.
Right. And you have to have that as an entrepreneur. You have to have that for a dream that you have, right? Not everybody might not be built for entrepreneurship, right? Like, and that's fine. That's completely fine, right? But if you're going after a dream or you're trying to build something of significance, let's talk about legacy. Let's just talk about family. Let's just talk about any one of those. Is you have to start and be consistent at it, right? If I want to be a good person, I need to be consistent at being a good person for it to come naturally, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And so, and
Otherwise, it feels selective. Yeah.
it feels exactly right. And then, yeah, exactly what happens. And so, and that happens the same way in entrepreneurship, right? If you are just over here, for lack of better words, half-assing it, right? And all you're doing is setting yourself up for failure because you don't have, there's something in you that has this belief that you're not good enough to be able to do what you need to be doing, right? And that in and of itself can be debilitating. And if you let that grow over time, it takes over your calling.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people just need to understand that it's starting is more than just going, I want to see revenue of 250,000, right? I want to see revenue of 2 million. It's more than that, right? It's a bet on yourself. You're betting on yourself going, I can do this. I can do this, and nobody's going to stop me from doing this. And that is what separates the 99 from the one, right? And the 1% of the world are the ones that go, oh yeah, like, I can do this, no issue.
And if we didn't believe what we were doing here and we didn't love what we were doing here, then we wouldn't be here under this pavilion on a day that potentially is about to rain, and it's probably about a 30%, whatever you were saying earlier.
Yeah. I love how I was just watching a video of Stephen Bartlett, and I love what he said. He goes, if you aren't willing to get up and not do it for money for the next 10 years, then you don't really have a passion for what you're doing, right? If you're not willing to not make money from what you're doing for the next 10 years, then just go ahead and stop.
Yep.
Go ahead and just stop.
True.
Right. And for me, right, that's kind of where we've been in this like conversation of, okay, do we monetize? Do we not monetize? When should we monetize? When should we not monetize? Right. We don't really think we're there to monetize. And I think it's the wrong conversation. Right. I think the conversation is, are we actually bringing value to an audience?
I was going to say,
prove it.
I was going to say it differently. I was going to say, what are we monetizing?
Yeah.
What's even built into that? Yeah.
Exactly. Right. And so there needs to be a value that's pushed to the audience. If the audience is finding value from content, that innates value to a sponsor, to an advertiser, to whatever it is, right?
Sure.
That there's an exchange of value there, right? But if we're just doing it because we want to cover expenses, that never works, right? And so the same thing if we go into business, right? If I go to a customer and my only or have a client and only, I'll do you one better. I had a call yesterday with a potential client. This is our third call that we had now. And if I was only after revenue, this founder wouldn't notice. He'd be like, you guys are just about money. I don't want to do it, right? But when I'm on the calls, like I'm trying to give as much value as I can possible, right? And so he doesn't understand a portion of what we're trying to do. And so my job is to help educate you.
Sure.
Right. So I'm going
Sure.
to educate you on what you need to give you to make sure that you have all the information that you need to make the best decision. Right. And so thankfully, I feel like it's going to go into our favor.
Hmm.
Right. And so we got one more hump to get over before we can hopefully land the contract. But it's the exchange of value that is better than just money, right? If it's only
Sure. Yeah.
transactional, you'll never have a long-term relationship with it, right? And that goes for anything, right? Like if our relationship or friendship was only transactional, it it would never go any deeper than that,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. I mean, everything would be skidded. Everything would be skidded. Everything would be like specifically designed towards like trying to get some sort of clip and that sort
Right.
of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so now what we're able to do is if there's exchange of value because of a heart posture, right? We're like, okay, well, because from a friendship level, right? We're okay, our hearts are in the right place to go, this is how we want to be friends, right? And this is how we see friendship versus, okay, this is how I see a relationship with business, all right? This is how it's going to work, right? We understand that there's a transaction, but at the heart of it, it's going to be relational.
Which is funny because I asked AI that. I'm like, what do you think about the podcast? Like, what do you think about like what's being built here? And it dove deeper than I thought it was going to. It dove into
Mm.
like, well, you and Michael have like created this like synergistic experience from 2 points of view. And it like started going deep into that. I was like, which is true. You know, when it comes to like our friendship, like we've come together and we've like, not only did we start at this angle each, now we started to rotate. The more you bring like your experience in business and the more I bring my experience with the podcast, etc. And we stood at this position. I know podcasts, you're interested, you know business, I'm interested. We're starting to see things rotate to the other way. Now you're starting to understand the podcast, you're understanding the equipment. I mean, look how quickly, like we laugh about it every single time when we actually get into Venture X, is how quickly we're able to set up this setup now,
Right.
because you get like what the camera should be doing, you get what the lights should be doing.
Yep.
And then vice versa, like I understand like the mode and like lanes of like business discussion and talks that like you're very polished in and very strategic about. And so we've gotten a chance to see this thing from both worlds and we're rotating constantly. So by the time we get back to there and we've come back to our original positions, we've gotten this 360 view. And as we continue to add equipment or like struggle could be, I don't want to do this today, or like I feel like God's calling me to do something else and I have to
Yeah.
prioritize this a little less, or whatever the case is. Like we get so many viewpoints of this thing that what's great about it is always brings us back to, yes, I still see value here. Yes, I still want to do this. Yes, this is still worth even some of the pain points, and we're still doing something cool.
Yeah, that's what it's really about. I think like I've always had this like thought of like there's a cool factor to it,
Okay.
right? And that's with anything that I'm doing, right? There needs to be like this cool factor. And what I mean by that is that if it has a cool factor, then it's cool to you, then you'll do it consistently for a little bit, right? If it's cool, right? And what do I mean by cool? I think is it interesting? Is it fun? Does it bring you some type of joy? Like, can you see yourself doing it at minimum for the next 6 months?
Yeah.
Right. If you check those boxes, cool. Then at 6 months, I can probably check those boxes again.
Yeah.
Right. And then just keep going. Right. It's this cool factor, right? Like everything is cool. And that's what I'm doing everything in business. Right. And so it needs to match that kind of same philosophy at the very basic level. Right. There's a lot of stuff that goes on top of that, but at the very basic level, like, do I see myself doing this for a longer period of time? Right. And yeah. Right. And so with consulting with Index, right, the biggest thing that I started doing is going, okay, like, how do I want this to be built? Right. How do I want to do business, but also like what is the heart of what we're trying to do, right? And then so I started like laying that groundwork for that to happen, right? And so that looked different in many ways, but ultimately, right, if you're starting anything, you're an expert in what you're trying to sell, right? And that can be different, right? So for us, that could be We're experts in communication and being able to articulate thoughts and extract information out of people that tells a story.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're experts in this setting, right? You're in safety. You're an expert within your field. So when you stand up with authority because people trust you because you built that expertise with them,
Yeah.
right? You relationally know, they know that you are going to give them right information for what you need, right?
Yeah.
And when I come up to do, even in this setting or in my consulting business or any other company that I'm a part of, I bring an expertise to that business in some way, shape, or form, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's helping articulate what the mission is, helping articulate how to tell the story of the business, or is it operations? Something around that area, right? What am I good at? How am I going to bring that forward? And so it's being that you become an expert in, right? And that's what you need to. That's what most people need to buy into for themselves, right? When we talk about, you need to be all in. You need to be that first step, that undeniable belief in yourself. You need to believe you're the expert. You need to believe that you can articulate that to anybody, right? And if you don't, then go get with ChatGPT, go get with Claude, and go figure that crap out.
YouTube, yeah, whatever
you got to do. Yeah. Figure out how you can articulate your expertise in a way that's like a 30-second elevator pitch.
It's really good, man. It's really good. This has been super fun and refreshing. It's a beautiful morning.
You know it actually really is.
I know we're wrapping up. We're probably overstaying our welcome for a little bit, but
for sure,
man, this has been very insightful. I'm always so thrilled and so fortunate and privileged, man, to do this alongside you. We have built and we are building something. Realistically, God is something really, really unique here, I think.
Absolutely. I think so too, man. And I think the more that we articulate what we're trying to do and the more that we do it, we just continue to have that undeniable belief that we're building something that is of significance.
Yeah. Great, man. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Follow us, subscribe. Please subscribe. Share this as much as possible.
Subscribe. We need it.
We're now on Thursdays for
we really need it.
Like lean in on this.
We need it. All right. Help us.
Get desperate, more desperate.
I probably need to pay some bills soon. I need to pay the bills. This camera costs a lot of money and I haven't paid it off yet. I'm still on Klarna.
Golly, Klarna. Seriously though, we're now on Thursdays releases for the full episodes. We just thought it would bring a little bit more value towards the end of the week. Trying things out is a part of the nature of the business, but you know where to find us on every platform. The primary is YouTube. We are on Spotify, Apple, everything's up to date. If you want to listen to it versus watch, we're also on outdoors.com. Outdoors.com.
Oh, I was like, hold on, what?
Officially starting today. So appreciate you.
And sign up for our newsletter. The link is going to be in the description when this comes out. And we look forward to seeing you and having some more behind the scenes, be able to drop some cool stuff to you guys. Awesome. Thank you. See you next time.
Peace.